Thank you, Karen. Can you everybody hear me all right? Good. Thank you, Karen. I'm excited to hear what I have to say today too. Appreciate the kind words and Robert, really good to see you, my friend. I haven't seen you in a while. See the people that came to support me, Eileen, Andrew, Emily. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Eileen still has that Christmas tree up. I don't know. It's Christmas every day there, right? Why not? Spreading that joy. I love it. My name is Terry. I'm an alcoholic. Um, my sobriety date's June 1st, 2019, and a miracle happened on that day where the gift of desperation screamed louder than the craving that was beyond my mental control. I didn't quit drinking. I was separated from drinking, actually separated in this very car as we speak. I love doing spiritual talks in this car, and I used to love drinking and driving. That was my thing. Thank God I don't suffer from what doesn't happen anymore. But I have a home group. Our home group is Bailey, North Bailey. It's in Yonkers, New York. It's a little country town. Um, we meet Fridays at 6:30 Eastern in person. Wonderful meeting, very similar to the Bronx Big Book. Go line by line and share our experience, not our opinions based on experiences we never had, but our experience. And hopefully, if you are in the neighborhood, come on by. I have a sponsor. I also sponsor a lot of really good friends. I don't even like the word sponsor, quite frankly. In chapter 7, it talks about when we approach an individual, it says they're a prospect, then they become a candidate, then they become a protege. Protege is just someone very special to you. Then we become friends. And that's how I view the people that I work with. It's not a hierarchy. It's not me standing on a spiritual mountain or in a spiritual car looking down at you saying hallelujah. No, I mean this is we're walking hand in hand and shoulder to shoulder together. We're trudge buddies. Um, and these people become my sponsor. They become my mentors as well because thank God we're all not sick on the same day. And I've been pretty sick in recovery as well, right? It's been getting lower and lower as time goes on. But I still got that little it factor. My little old personality likes to creep back in and shine its little head here and there. But thank God, because I've been saved so many times by you and by the fellowship. So thank you for the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank you for the families of Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank you for everyone doing service here. I mean, I was just listening to the numbers, Karen. Whoa, that's wild. I think I spoke at this meeting prior to, and it's been a big meeting for a long time. And thank you guys for keeping this meeting afloat because there's someone in this room that's suffering. There's someone in this room that does not want to live anymore. There's someone that wants to drink, or there's probably someone in this meeting right now is currently drinking. Welcome. Welcome home. And hope, I mean, the human brain, it can only retain 10% information in a 1 hour, talk or a lecture, right? And what my job today is to do my best to give you a nudge to possibly pick up this kit of spiritual tools that might change your life forever. And then on top of that, I mean, it says in our forwards to the first edition, I think this program has its advantages for all. I mean, not only you get sober and live a life of feeling whole and happy and useful, but everyone that is connected to you improves as well. It's a ripple effect, right? And thank God I'm part of this. Thank God I drank the Kool-Aid, right? And yeah, I love the effect produced by alcohol. It says in the doctor's opinion, it says we like the effect. I don't. Only time I want to change the big book is right there. I love, not like, I love the effect produced by alcohol. And it says in one of the chapters more about alcohol, I believe it's on page 34, it says We have this utter inability to leave alcohol alone. That was my experience. I mean, think about a high school crush of the love of your life. Anyone had a high school crush? Anyone had their heart broken? Yeah, man. It's like I can't leave this girl alone. I was like, I can't get her off my mind. It's the same thing with alcohol. I mean, when I was drinking, I literally was amazed before I was halfway through. When I was drinking, I was going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. I mean, when I was drinking, I suddenly realized that alcohol was doing for me what I could not do for myself. I was taller. I could talk to people. I was friendly. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I mean, my life took on a new meaning. And when I started to drink, I reflect back on this, and thank God I read with a bunch of people who save my life on a daily basis. And I get back into my step one experience. I try my best not to lose my connection to it. Because if I lose my connection to step one, all of a sudden I stop demonstrating these principles on my affairs, and I stop meditating, and I stop praying, I stop watch, ask, discuss, turn in step 10. I stop when pausing when agitated or doubtful, I could go on and on and on. I stopped going to my home group. I stopped calling people. I stopped, it's a domino effect, right? But forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, whatever. I guess I'm excited to hear what I have to say today. So let's go for the next thought. Um, When I took that first drink, I loved it, and it took me. And when I drank, I got thirstier every single time I drank. And that's what I was talking about. When I go back in my connection with step one, I reflect on my experience with how I'm medically and physically powerless over alcohol. How when I drink, I can't control the amount I take. I remember I was drinking every single day, and I was throwing up every single day. And I was like, this has to stop. Why do I keep throwing up? And I remember looking at my in my bathroom. I guess I brought a Gatorade bottle in there, and it was on the countertop. And I look at the Gatorade bottle. I'm like, that's it. It's the Gatorade that's getting me sick because I'm drinking it before I drink for the night. And I was like, oh, it's all that sugar. So you know what I did, everyone? Quit drinking Gatorade. I was done drinking Gatorade. I mean, I had a DUI in 2008, and, kind of similar to the jaywalker. You think he would, if he were normal, he would cut it out, and literally 1 month later, I got arrested again for another one. And I said I was done. Robert, I stood up in front of a judge and said, I'm done for good. And I meant it too, Rob. I meant it. Like, it sucked being arrested in New York City. Like, I got arrested in Midtown. I got brought from three different jails down to central booking, spent 3 days in central booking, XYZ amount for the courts. I had to pay X, Y, and Z for the next 3 years. My insurance went through the roof. I was like, man, I'm done. Robert, I'm done. I'm done driving. I'm done driving, not drinking. 'Cause drinking is my way out, baby. It was my solution. It gave me wings and I flew so high. And, and, and towards the end, it was it was weird because I'll backtrack a little bit. I had I had open heart surgery in 2018. I had 5 bypass open heart surgery because of drinking, and I was using the white witch. You guys could put two and two together. And because of that, I woke up, I came to in the hospital, and I remember I was shaking violently from the DTs. And the doctor's looking at me. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm hitting that morphine button. I said I was in pain. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, I see you is hitting your morphine button and or sedative button. Good old tradition, people. Right? My whole talk is not about drugs, by the way. Or, if you actually look through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, our founders were profoundly in love with that other substance as well. But because this is Alcoholics Anonymous, I'll keep it to singleness of purpose. And I remember shaking and sweating violently. You know this. And the doctor's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I told him like, I don't know, I don't feel too well. I was too ashamed to tell him what was actually wrong with me. Developing and grasping a manner of living that demands rigorous honesty. Okay. I developed a manner of living that demanded rigorous dishonesty, straight up. I didn't want anyone to know who I was. I didn't want anyone to know how I searched madly for the bottle every single morning. How I searched out, how I hid my alcohol so good that I couldn't, from my wife, that I could not find it for myself. I was just thinking about that the other day, right? I lived a double life. I had a stage character that I wanted all my fellows to see, but I was so scared inside to actually be honest with another person. And it was an experience. I mean, they cut my lungs down to golf ball sizes. They have a 9-inch scar on my chest. I had to learn how to breathe. I had to learn how to sit up. I had to learn how to walk. You expect someone to stay sober for the rest of their lives because of an experience like that. I got my butt whooped. I got my butt whooped. Guys, I stayed sober because of fear. And I'm going to throw this out there. Fear is an unreliable higher power. It's unreliable. I mean, I'm gonna throw this out there as well. Success is also an unreliable higher power. People are also an unreliable higher power. My sponsor is an unreliable higher power. He doesn't have a 24/7 hotline. I can't call him anytime. God does, though, by the way. And if you don't believe in God, yeah, you do. You believe in two gods. Who believed in King Alcohol? Oh yeah. I'd sold my soul for King Alcohol. If it told me to roll around like a little puppy, I would do it. If it told me to steal your wallet and help you look for it, I'd do it. If it told me to cheat, lie, it don't matter. I would do it. I'd do the grimiest stuff just to feel okay when I take a drink. Self-knowledge is also an unreliable higher power. Me knowing the 1930s definitions in the big book is not going to keep me sober. Me reading Dr. Bob in the Good Old Times, X1, I think I read it 6 times. AA Comes of Age, Pass It On, all sorts of spiritual books to literally sound cool, look cool, all that crap. That didn't help me out when I was at the jumping off place in recovery. It couldn't help me at certain times, which I think is probably the most profound 3 words in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous that are combined together. You can see them from pages 23 to 43. Me on my own power, choice, and control, I will drink again. I'm literally at certain times, meaning I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. Where I'm going to have an insane thought come in and I'll make a decision slash take action on it. And I'll pick up a drink no matter the pain and humiliation of which has happened a week or a month or 8 years or 10 years or 30 years ago. It don't matter. I'm without a defense against the first drink. I literally this car, I told you, this car is very special to me. 2019 Camry. By the way, someone asked me what kind of car I had one day. It's a Camry, 2009. It'll run probably for a long time. Hopefully, I could get to 30 years sober with this thing. Uh, but I was cleaning out the back trunk, and it was my golf bag, and I saw a flask. Right, and I look at the flask, and I'm like, pretend this is a flask. I was like, whoa, there's the love of my life. Like it was like Charlie Brown's principal talking to me. It was like, wah, 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 wah. You just had open hearts. Wah, wah, wah. You're living in your car, which is a great car. Wah, wah, wah. Going through a divorce with your wife. Wah, wah, wah. You just lost your job. Wah, wah. I don't hear any of that. The obsession is a singular thought, which is an irrational thought that just crowds out all other thoughts. Saw the love of my life. And I picked up that drink and off to the races again. See, that's the one thing that is so powerful in it. Our step one experience doesn't tell me I can't drink. It's tell me I will drink again. And that's something I actually have to fully accept. Definition of surrender means to fully accept. I have to fully accept that I'm going to relapse. People say, oh, I'm a relapse, I'm a relapser. We all are. We all look for the love of our life. Who has dreams about getting drunk? I do. I'll tell you a story. Here's a story. This is recent stuff. So I can't stay sober off the spiritual experience I had X amount of years ago. Just like I can't stay clean off the shower I took yesterday, or I can't stay full off the pizza I had about 4 hours ago. Actually, it's good New York pizza, by the way. Thin crust, crispy on the bottom. That's my thing. Tell you a story. My son, he's an autistic kid. He has severe autism, and if any parents are here, the first 6 weeks of birth, they suck, right? Kids wake up, eat, poop, need a drink, anything, back to sleep. Eat, poop, back to sleep, blah, blah. It's torture. It sucks. Imagine doing that for 3 consecutive years plus. But this time he's starting to get violent, and he's starting to assault not just me and my wife, but also kids at school as well. And he has temper tantrums that you can't even believe. And I hit a breaking point. I hit a breaking point. This happened to me last month. And my kid one night was screaming and violently attacking me. And I literally threw up my fist like this, Rob. I was like, don't you dare do that, or I'm gonna, and I had a pause moment. Thank God for God, man. I mean, it stopped me. It was like, book. It was like me hitting a wall. And I put my hand back down, and instead I rubbed his shoulders, and he fell asleep. That night, this is this is a month ago. That night, I had a dream about getting drunk. I haven't had a dream about drinking in a long, long, long time. I'll tell you why I did. I did not like the role that God assigned me, period. I was living a life based in fear. I wasn't making any choices. I was being driven. I was angry at what was happening. I was angry at the world, right? I was listening to the story and the narrative and the minion in my head. You could call him the liar. You could call him the thinker. So you could call him Rambo. You could call him Romeo. You could call him all sorts of things. But he spoke so loud, and it got to the point where I actually thought about drinking in my dream. And I woke up. I was like, oh my God, did I drink last night? I did not. But I'm not immune to this. At certain times, I don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen in my dream. Who has fantasies about drinking? I have. Who's had alcohol whisper in your ear? I have. See, that's the thing. I have an abnormal reaction to alcohol. When I drink, I get thirstier. But here's the big one. When I'm sober, I have an abnormal reaction to sobriety. I have an abnormal reaction to abstinence. And with the doctor's opinion, which is kind of really kind words, this is from the Dr. Silkworth. He says, I'm restless, irritable, and I'm discontented unless I get ease and comfort, the sense of ease and comfort by taking a few drinks. Well, those are some kind words. I mean, what happens when you take the love of my life away from me? I feel like poking my eyes out. I feel like ripping my skin off. So what happened? And I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I started hearing my story. And I think that's probably the most powerful thing that I have in my life is my story. I'm a storyteller. It even says the first promise in our big book, it says the story of how many thousands of men and women who have recovered from alcoholism. I mean, look when Bill W. I mean, he was such a crappy 12-stepper, you know, and then he had to stay sober, and he knew he had to stay sober in order to, to help another person in order to stay sober. So he finds Dr. B. That's another long story. You could read about it and all the historical stuff. And Dr. Bob gave him 15 minutes to talk to him. Emily, he gave him 15 minutes. He walks in, he says, you got 15 minutes, bro. That's how they used to talk back then. Trust me, I've studied the history of Alcoholics Anonymous. I actually hang out with a lot of historians as well. They said, you got 15 minutes, bro. That's exactly what Dr. Bob said. Am I being a little dishonest? Yes, I'm trying to prove a point here. And he didn't hit him with God, 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 God. He hit him with his story, and he hit him with the medical facts of alcoholism. And when Bill was walking away, Dr. Bob's like, "Hey, hold on, bro. Remember, I told you that's how they talk back then. Hold on, bro. Let me tell you my story." And they shared experience, strength, and hope with each other. One alcoholic talking to another alcoholic, and something miraculous happened. Two people just had a conversation and told each other stories. And then Bill's telling his story all over the world. And all of us are here at this very moment, at this very second, are sober. What a miracle. Guys, we're never going to repeat this moment in time ever again. At this very moment, we are not a tornado roaring through the lives of other people. At this very moment, we're not being inconsiderate, dishonest, selfish with anyone. We're trying to live right here, right now in God's country. And hopefully, if someone's listening to me, hopefully, I'm giving you a nudge to try what I've tried, which was actually the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And Emily, I did not like the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I really didn't. You know why? Because I thought it was too big. I actually got the one with no stories. I love this one. It's so small. Look at that. It's so cute. It's so small. It's got no stories in it. But the first time I open it up, everyone, it says there is a solution. Guys, we got a way out. We literally have a way up and we have a way out of here. If you can't stop drinking, if you are suicidal, and I was suicidal for so long and I didn't understand I wanted to kill the wrong self. I wanted to kill the liar up here, the minion up here. We all got it. The talker in your head who's judging me based on what I'm saying. The talker that wants to, after you're done, I'm speaking, you want to share on whatever I just said and you want to actually disagree with it or prove that I'm wrong or agree with me or give me love and applause. I don't care. That talker. Sometimes I would go to detoxes and you could have the best delivery in the world and that person's just thinking about themselves the entire time and their deaf ears. Hopefully I cracked something in that shield of yours. Hopefully I'm allowing God to demonstrate through me what God could do. Because you're looking at a miraculous demonstration of someone who has not just changed, but has been transformed. I'm really positively 1000% convinced that God has a successful recycling business. I mean, he takes trash, he literally turns it into treasure. He took me, a piece of trash, a tornado roaring through the lives of others, a victim of delusions and illusions, an unlovely creature, and he transformed me. He transformed me into a father of an autistic child. Yo, my wife, this is what my wife said to me the other day. She's like, I had no clue. I had no clue that this program worked until I saw how you're still sober today after what happened a month ago. Like, you told me that you needed to work with other alcoholics to ensure your sobriety. And I did not get that until I saw you be a demonstration of the words that are in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. That's what I try to do today. I try to live my life like a silent movie, not a talker. This little talker up here doesn't, I actually don't move my lips as much off the screen as much as I do on the screen. I like to live my life like a silent demonstration how God could operate in someone's life. Someone who could be a demonstration of goodwill, someone who could be a demonstration of letting go absolutely, someone who could be a demonstration of being useful and be present. That's why I said I'm excited to hear what I have to say today. I didn't plan any of this. This is fun. I'm enjoying listening to what I have to say today because this ain't me. I'm a spiritual being in an astronaut suit called Terry. Straight up. God is just using me. I'm an agent. I've been empowered. I don't know what happened to me, but something happened when I opened up that big book of Alcoholics Anonymous and it said, there is a solution. And I went through this process like the desperation of a drowning man. I really did. I remember I got to read Gnostics with my sponsor, and my sponsor went to page 53 and he said, "Hey Terry, so it's about God is everything or God is nothing. What is your choice to be?" And he asked me this question, and I've asked a lot of people this question very randomly to kind of see how what responses I would get because I'm curious. And I've only had one person give me the same exact response that I'm going to give to you right now. And I had a lot of fun with him too, because it was like looking at a mirror. That's the cool thing about the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm literally reading a book of mirrors. I'm looking at myself. It woke me up. And you know what I said, Emily? I said, hell, this is what my sponsor said to me. Can you explain God? And you know what I said? Hell yeah, I can explain God. I said, God is love. God is girly directions. God is group of drugs. God is the great outdoors. God is this. God is that. God is that. I got tongue tied. Jonathan, what's up, buddy? Andrew, it's good to see you, pal. Andrew, I got tongue tied. And my sponsor leans over. He's like, come here, Ted. He's like, it's pretty hard to explain everything because God is everything and everything's God and you're not God. And guys, right then and there, I was rocketed right into the fourth dimension of existence. I couldn't even dream. See, God can't be explained, but he could be experienced. I'll say that one more time so everybody could write that down. God can't be explained, but he could be experienced. You just read our 9-step promises. I was to know happiness. I was to know peace. No is a gnosis, right? I like how I know Eileen has her Christmas tree every single day. I don't know, forgot how long you've had that Christmas tree up. Christmas has passed, but thank God you still have because you got that Christmas spirit, and I really enjoy watching you be a demonstration of Christmas spirit. Thank you. Like I know Andrew. Andrew, you've heard me talk. I don't know how many times. Are you bored? And what I keep talking about the same two things, Andrew. It's God and booze. It's pretty boring talk. I don't understand why you keep coming back, bro. Like, I who else? Robert. Robert, I've only seen you shave, I think, trim your beard one time. I know that beard. It's a gnosis, an experiential thing. I mean, what does a rose smell like? Robert, what does a rose smell like? Smells like a rose, right? What does chocolate taste like? Chocolate tastes like chocolate. What is a rose? What does tulips smell like? Smell like tulips. I can't explain it. I can only experience it. Now, Page F gave me the definition of 1930 definition of understood. And Paige and I, we do a big book study on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. And she is one of the most, I can't even just, can't explain it. God just uses that woman like no other, right, Emily? I mean, she is just, I don't know, there's something, she is just a ball of enthusiasm. Like God is just shining in and out and through her. I mean, it's just amazing to watch her to go at. I mean, I spectate. I'm like in whoa. I met her in person, and she was exactly the same person online as I met him in when I met her in person as well. And she gave me the 1930s definition of understood because I was saying all the time, like, this is the God of my misunderstanding. How can I explain God? I misunderstand. Well, she gave me the 1930s definition of understand. It means to learn through experience. See, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. I have an experiential God. I have a feeling God. I have a fun God. Like I have fun times in this unionship, partnership with this power. I mean, God is not even like the best word to describe it. It's everything to me. And if you're new here, it's not the name of the power or the name of the God. It's the power behind the name. And that's what we're building a relationship with, which will separate you. Because in More About Alcoholism, they give us three guys, Jimmy, the car salesman, right? The carpet slipper dude, and Fred. And they all had an insane idea, just like I had an insane idea when I opened up this trunk, saw my flask. Whoa, right? And then they all made a decision slash made took action on that decision. But in between that insane idea, everybody, and that action slash decision to go drink is a very small space, but occupies a very, very large God. And that's what we're building a relationship with, which will separate us from taking action. You're going to have an idea about getting drunk, but you'll have a defense because the 12 steps get us back to harmony, back to unionship, back to right here. My friend would say, back to the crossroads of right here, right now. Yeah. I think, I don't know what I want to talk about. What about amends? I didn't want to make amends because they were scary. They're terrifying. I was thinking about an amends today that I made, and this was the third time I went through the work, and when I was making amends, like something happens during this process. It's part of your decision, your third step decision. You guys ever hear about three red tail hawks on a fence? You guys ever hear that story? And Eileen and Andrew and Emily, just put your earmuffs on. And I know you guys heard it before. So yeah, I know you guys heard the three frogs on a log story. Well, I enhanced that story with three red-tailed hawks on the fence. So you got three red-tailed hawks on the fence to make a decision to launch. You guys like the word launch, right? Launch out into the sky. How many red-tailed hawks actually launched out into the sky? Robert, take a guess. Zero. Yeah, they all made a decision, but they didn't make a commitment to that decision and launch out there. That's what we're doing with step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8, step 9, even the rest of the steps. What you're doing is you're making a commitment to that decision that God is your father, your director, and your principal, and we're his child, actor, and agent. I'm making a decision that God is everything, and I'm going to go be a seeker and go back to harmony. That's what we're doing, everyone. We're just going back home. I mean, I talked about my son. I mean, when he smiles and he giggles, he's nonverbal. He can't speak. And he's having a blast. He's acting like a child of God. He's not thinking the drive for success is on. I have arrived. How dark it is before the dawn. How much money is in my bank account? What about those girls? He's not thinking any of that. He has a constant connection with the power greater than himself, which is inside of him, which is in everything inside of every man, woman, and child here. That's what we do here is we do the steps. We get rid of the nuclear waste that's around our heart and it will burst out of you. It says on top of page 55, yet we've seen another kind of flight, a spiritual liberation, people who rose literally above their prompts. They said God made that possible and we only laughed and made fun of him. No, I made that up, right? We only smiled, right? We've seen spiritual release, not outside coming in, inside coming out, bursted out of you. It burst out of me when I started making amends. And I did not want to make amends because they were really scary. I was telling everybody, Rob, this is a great story. I was telling everybody I'm on steps 9, 10, and 11, and 12 when I was not on step 9, 10, and 11, and 12. Yeah, but look at me, I'm sober. I'm part of a 12-step fellowship, but I'm not doing the 12 steps. I mean, how crazy is that? I'm part of a 12-step fellowship and I'm not doing the 12 steps. And I'm on the most critical one, which is the ninth step, which is my commitment to my decision. I mean, who said they're willing to do whatever it takes for victory over alcohol? I did. I said I will die sober. That's what I said. I went to the detox with these big book guys, my peeps, right? That's the thing, sometimes our ego becomes extremely spiritual really fast, everybody. I don't know about you, but yes, my disease is outside my car, doing push-ups. Yes. He is. But it's more like with me, my disease is in the other room taking acting classes, looking to make a comeback, looking to come back in a different face, a spiritual man, Mr. AA, Mr. AA sponsor, Mr. AA convention speaker. If Robert doesn't give me a standing ovation after this, I'm going to be hurt, threatened, and interfered with. But everyone's going to give me love and applause and moments of time. But I look at Rob and he's not standing, giving me a clap. I'm going to be pissy. Why? Because my ego took on a different face. And I went to this big book. I'm sorry, not big book. I went to this detox of these big book guys who are all about the big book and nothing else. And there are drug addicts at this place. And I told my drug addict story. I thought it was appropriate. Afterwards, I'm eating a dinner with these two guys, and one of the guy leans over. He's like, Terry, I'm concerned you're not a real alcoholic. I didn't talk about alcohol. I talked about the drugs because they were drug addicts. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, when I drink, I lose control. I mean, I took a drink 7 hours prior to a wedding, and I ended up in a different state. Like, I get accidentally drunk all the time, right? Bill's stories, Dr. Bob's story, they stole it from me. I know they were born 100 years prior to me, but they stole it from me, right? They plagiarized. Bill's the great plagiarist. He plagiarized it from me. And afterwards, I was really angry. You know why I was really angry? Because I had a belief system. And also, I wasn't doing the work. I was not in fit spiritual condition when I caught that resentment. I was not. I was not practicing 10, 11, and 12. I was not. I didn't even know what that meant to be living in the world of the spirit. I didn't even understand that. I was just telling you through the lenses of my intellectual minds. I'm trying to intellectual it be I was trying to intellectual describe this fellowship without actually experiencing it. I was a parrot. I was mimicking everyone, but I wasn't having experiences. I was giving opinions based on experiences I was never had. I love talking about how flawed I am. Thank God and that's why we make, that's the beauty of mistakes. I made that mistake, but a mistake is just an invitation to a lesson learned. I learned from it. And I had this ultimate problem with it. I thought after I'm walking away with this resentment towards this guy, you know what I said, everybody? I said, maybe he's right. That's what I said. And you know what I said, Rob? Every 15 minutes of every hour for the next 3 weeks in my head, I'll read it to you because I brought my big book. I brought my book to class. What does it say? Page 31. This is what I said, Robert, over and over to myself in my head. Step over to the nearest barroom, Terry, and try some controlled drinking. This is what I said to myself. Try to drink, Terry, and stop abruptly. Try it more than once. Normal people don't say that every 15 minutes in their head over and over and over again. I had a fifth step experience that the obsession was removed. It came back. It came back. Because I didn't have a defense. I didn't have a relationship with this power. I wasn't in harmony. I was in disharmony. I thought about drinking. I almost drank the liquor that was in my home. I told my wife to get rid of it. I'd wake up every next into my bed, telling my wife I'm thinking about drinking. She's scared out of her mind. Think about it, our inconsideration. We don't consider how we hurt other people based on what we think we need to be okay. My solution is alcohol, and when I say that to another being, they think that I'm going to destroy their world and everyone around them, which is true. Thank God, I said it earlier. Thank God for the families of Alcoholics Anonymous who stay with us. Those are the people that are closest to the tornado. Imagine watching a loved one kill themselves in front of you because I think it's going to make me feel okay, but I don't see it because I live a life of delusions and illusions. Thank God for the family. Thank God they stick with us. And you'll notice when you start making amends, people are very much more compassionate and loving than you think. So I remember I'm sitting in this very car. God, I love this car. And I'm looking to make a left to go to a bar or make a right to go to a meeting. That's where I was. And and I was like, I remember I had a God moment. It said, call your sponsor. I was like, ah, crap. See, that's the thing that, yeah, my brain needed to be washed. Like, and it got washed with AA. They said, call your sponsor, go to a meeting, blah, blah, blah. You need to make your amends, blah, blah, blah. There's a little tug of war going on inside of me. See, the problem is within you, but also, check this out, the solution is also inside you as well. And that solution that said something, it became, you could say in a God thought, it said, call your sponsor. And I called my sponsor and I told him what's going on. He said, did you make your amends, Terry? I'm like, no. How do you know I'm not making my amends? What are you, baby Yoda over there, dude? Like, how do you know this? He's like, maybe you need to make your amends. Man, I remember sitting in this very seat. It's 2019 Camry. It's white outside, by the way, just like my son. And I remember praying for the willingness to call this individual who is an enemy in my mind. It was, one of our 8-step lists is that we make amends to the man we hate. There's eight types of amends that cover all amends. I don't have time. I think I've got 7 minutes left. What time do I got until? I'm sorry, Karen. Or you just want to, you can just mute me. 5 minutes? Okay, cool. And um it was so there's 8 types of amends that cover all amends, and I got 5 minutes. So there's the business acquaintances and friends. You have the man we hated, which is the person I'm going to talk about. We have money that we owe. We have criminal offenses. We have cheating is another one. We also have if I rob a bank, I could implicate multiple people where other people involved. There's a lot we should do at home, and there's some people we cannot see, like our family. Or I'm sorry, like our people who pass away, and that man we hated was on there. And I remember this thinking about what was going to happen if I gave this gentleman a call. See, 9 out of 10 times the unexpected happens. So what's going on in my head is an expectation. It's a story. It's a minion. We all got it. It's a talker, right? It says that's why it says our actor is egocentric, right? As now people are self-centered and egocentric. The good news is we're not the actor. We are not our mind. We are not our body. The thing is, I identify with my thoughts and the stories that are in my head, and I believe them, and I go play God, and I balk at amends because of it. And that's why I didn't do amends, because I was listening to my fears up here. I'm a great listener. My wife tells me I'm a shitty listener, but I'm actually a really good listener. She's not wrong and she's correct at the same time. Yes, I don't listen to her, but I am a great listener because I love listening to the story up here. Our 10 step says continue to watch for the manifestations of the self. It does not say continue to listen to the manifestations of self. I like to listen to my fears. What happens is I'm an agnostically inclined individual. I believe them and I play God and I balk. That's what happens. And I'm thinking about if I call this guy who's an enemy in my mind, he's going to respond a certain way because I know that's how he's going to respond. And then I'm going to say something back at him, and we're going to get in an argument. And I'm going to go drive to Danbury, Connecticut, and beat him up. And then blah blah blah. This is what's going on in my mind, and I'm not making the amends. But I'm sitting in this car, this very car right here, praying for the willingness. And thank God we got prayers because they're positional. They get us back to right here, right now. When you took the drink, you became the drink. But when you do a sincere prayer, you become the prayer. You become a demonstration of that prayer. And what happens, I'm praying for the willingness, reminding myself I'm going to willing any lengths for victory over alcohol. And I accidentally called him. I was like, oh, shit. Sheesh. Sorry, I dropped the S word earlier. Sorry about that. I'm like, oh my God, I called him. I didn't really say it like that. And he picks up the phone. He says, hey, Terry, where have you been? I miss you and I love you. I was like, what's up with this? Right then and there, I was rocketed into the fourth dimension existence in this very car. I experienced utopia and heaven right here, right now. I found out the 2 most important dates of my life. It's not my sobriety date. My sobriety date just measures how much time I have. And if you got a lot of time and you're talking about your time in a meeting, Live your life like a silent movie, baby. Live your life like a silent movie. When I put years, so all of a sudden I'm gonna have more years than I have days, and I'm not living a day at a time. I'm gonna be living a life of pride and talking about how much time I have. I don't want to be in separation from you. I want to be in a unionship and a fellowship. The definition of fellowship means a union of friends and equals. I'm not above you. I'm not below you. We are doing this together. I started to make all these approaches to all these individuals. I'm like, this is where the juice is at. Let's go make some amends. And I'm starting to make these approaches. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, I'm like, I'm not thinking about drinking. Like, it's not whispering in my ear. I'm not fantasizing. Hey, see, I'm parked in front of my house. And my neighbor just walked by. I'm not fantasizing about it. I'm not even dreaming about it. The obsession was removed and it never came back. I suddenly, it's a time frame, suddenly realized that God was doing for me what I could never do for myself. I did the work and God worked on me. I did the work and God worked on me. And I look back and I reflect back at my life when I made a conscious decision to live my life like a silent movie, to try not just work the 12 steps, but to live the 12 steps. I look back at my life, it's indescribably wonderful. Expect miracles. Expect miracles. My name is Terry. I'm a recovered alcoholic. Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate every one of you. I'll put my number in the chat. If you're hurting right now, give me a buzz. Or you just want to talk recovery, give me a buzz. I'd love to talk to you because you guys saved my life. There is no me without you.